Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye. Om Apyayantu Mangane Vak-pranaschakshush Shrotramaso Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmai Nirad Yaupanishatsu Dharmaste Mai Santu Te Mai Santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. एक हुआ है यत्र नान्यत् पश्यते नान्यत् शृणोति नान्यत् विजानाति स भूमा अथ यत्र अन्यत् पश्यति अन्यत् शृणोति अन्यत् विजानाति तदल्पं यो वै भूमा तदमृतम् अथ यदल्पं तन्मर्त्यं स भगवः कस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठित इति स्वे महिम्नि यदि वा न महिम्नीति. किम लक्षणोऽसौ भूमा यो वै भूमा तत्सुखम. What is bhuma? Abundant, anantam, limitless, that is happiness. Is not that there is happiness in limitless. Limitless is happiness. Make note of this. Na alpe sukhamasti. There is no happiness in what is alpam or limited. Whether limited in time, limited in place, limited in attributes, in any kind, any sense, anything that is limited, there is no happiness. There is dukkham is not said, there is no happiness. Unhappiness is where I expect when I expect happiness where it is not. Unhappiness is the result of unfulfillment of my expectation, where I expect something from somewhere where it is not. So if I have unhappiness because of experiences of what is limited, whether it is wealth, name, fame, power, my friends, family, anything, which are generally considered to be a source of unhappiness by Vedantins. source of happiness by the world and source of unhappiness by Vedantins. There is neither source of happiness because there is no happiness in limited. In fact, when we say limited, it means drishyam or that which is objectified. And so in any object there is no happiness and no implication there is unhappiness either. As you said, unhappiness is the result of my unfulfilled expectation, where I expected happiness where it is not supposed to be. Unfortunately, we are born with this conclusion that that is where the happiness is. That is what is meant by the Chhandogyopanishad when it says Paranche Khani, Yatruna Swambhu. Khani Indriyani, including the mind, are Paranchi, outward looking, meaning that they have a conclusion that happiness is out there. That's what is meant by outward looking. It's not that because I look out, therefore I am outward looking. The outward looking as is not an action, it is a conclusion. That what I am seeking in life is out there. That conclusion is all called extrovertedness. Not a person who is active, etc. is called extrovert. A person may not be doing anything and still be extrovert as long as there is conclusion that what I am seeking in my life is out there somewhere other than myself. This very conclusion will make my mind oriented towards seeking somewhere other than myself. Whether the seeking is expressed in action or not, but it may be in my mind, my thoughts, in my being. So this is a very profound statement here. Alpe sukham nasti. There is no happiness whatever in anything that is alpam or limited. And whatever is the object of experience, whatever I experience, is bound to be limited. Because what I experience has to be within the boundaries of the instruments of experience. What I see will be in boundaries of the organ of seeing. Whatever range of the light, waves or frequency of light that my eyes can see, that will be the limit. Meaning that whatever is experienced by a means of experience. It may be a sense organ, it may be mind, and sense organs are limited. Mind also is limited. That is not a criticism, that's an observation. And therefore, whatever the eyes can see, ears can hear, taste can taste, tongue can taste, it will be limited, and it's good. Then only we can handle. If it is limitless, I can't deal with it. So it's good. What is all right? As long as we understand correctly what is, so long everything is fine. But the problem is when we wrongly understand what is, and therefore have an expectation of what that thing does not possess. So either acquiring something or rejecting something, that is my life. Acquiring something, rejecting something. Upadayam, acquiring, heyam, giving up. That vyavahara is all right. What goes behind that vyavahara, that by upadayam I will be happy, or by acquiring something I will be happy, by giving up something I am happy. The act of acquiring, giving up, that act is all right. What is behind that act in my mind? What's the intention behind that? That if I think I'll become happier by acquiring something, And whatever I can acquire is always limited because I acquire with my organs or my mind, which is limited. All that I'll be happy by giving up something that also is limited. So limited does not have happiness nor unhappiness. Meaning that by acquiring something you cannot get happiness because it's not there. By giving up something I can be given unhappiness, unhappiness also is not there. So acquiring, giving up is vyavahar, is all right. I need to do that. To eat food I should acquire it. And to get my body clean I should get rid of this. That's all right. The action is no problem. But if action is prompted by wrong understanding, it is that wrong understanding that by acquiring something I'll be better than what I am, or by giving up something I'll be better than what I am, it is in that conclusion where the problem is. Vedanta says you don't need to do anything, just be. You can be even while acquiring. It's not that being is opposed to any activity. You can be even while acquiring or giving up. Be doesn't mean that don't do anything. You need not do also. It's your choice. Be means that become free from the conclusion that I need to change. Free from conclusion I need to change something else, that I need to change myself. Doing is one thing, but the intention of doing is that by doing, I change myself and then I'll be better off. I change some world and I'll be better off. That intention comes from a wrong understanding. Because what is all right. What is bhuma. Bhuma means abundant, limitless. Then it's not limited in time, place, condition, which means at whatever time, whatever place, whatever condition, what is bhuma. Is abundant, is whole and complete, is in order, is all right. So calm down. Calm down means be calmed down from the restlessness arising from a need of acquiring, need of changing myself, need of changing others. This need is what causes problem, not doing something. A need arises because of not understanding. So what is in order. When there is not recognized, then there is a need of making it in order. So I am trying to create an order in myself or elsewhere in the world. Kim lakshana so bhuma iti. What is lakshana? What is it called? Bhuma, Brahman, Atma, Satyam. Now the word has changed. So why I talked about Satyam? Yes, Satyam ati vadati. Where is Satyam? All of a sudden, Bhuma? Forgot. Sanat Kumar forgot. This is talking about Satyam and all these about Bhuma. So what of Satyam is Bhuma? Because Satyam may not convey what the word Bhuma conveys. Bhuma means abundant, means vast, means limitless. Although Satyam also is that, but that word Satyam may not convey this idea of limitlessness in ourselves. If you probe into the meaning of word Satyam, it turn out to be so, but Bhuma means it just conveys the idea of wholeness, boundlessness, limitlessness. So what is this limitlessness? Yatra nanyat pashyati, yatra where nanyat pashyati. One pashyati, na pashyati, one does not see, anyat the other. Where one does not see the other. Nanyat shrunoti, where one does not hear the other. Nanyat vijanati, where one does not know the other. Sabhuma. What a definition. Again, it is na pashyati. Two things. Na anyat pashyati. Na pashyati. This nakara applies to both. Na pashyati, nanyat pashyati. So pashyati, meaning darshanam, is denied here. And yet the other also is denied. Two things are denied in a simple statement. So nanyat shrunoti. Shravanam is denied and anyat is denied. Now if there is no seeing, that means that there is no seer also. When will seeing not be there? When the seer is not there. When will seeing be there? When the organ of seeing is there. When can I see you? I can see you when I bring to operation the organ of seeing, namely my eyes in this case. When can I hear? When I bring to operation the organ of hearing, the ears in this case. So when seeing is denied, because seeing presupposes a seer, and seeing also presupposes the karanam, meaning the organ of seeing. Karanam karma karteti trividam karma sodhana. Trividha karma sodhana. So Lord Krishna says this karma is based on karanam karma karteti, karta, karma and karanam. Although there are so many, basically these three karakas are denied or not. So they are required. The adhikaran is required, this is required, that's all standard stuff. But what is particular to an action is karanam, karma and karta. The doer, the organ of doing, the object upon which the act of doing is done. So all the three are denied here. Na anyat pashyati, where one does not, na pashyati, where one does not see. So seeing requires a seer, it requires organ of seeing, it requires object of seeing, isn't it? When now in my case the act of seeing is taking place, I am the seer, you are all the object of seeing, and my eyes are the organ of seeing. So not seeing requires or indicates that there is no seer, there is no object of seen, there is no seen, there is no seer, there is no seen, and there is no organ of seeing. So Bhashyakara says, Nanyat drashtavyam anyena karena anyo drashta vibhakta drusyat pashyati. Take a simple act of seeing, then the seer is definitely different from what is seen. That bheda or the difference or duality has to be there for the vyavhara, for the act of the seeing to take place, because the seer must be different from the seen. And the organ of seeing also is different from the seer and seen. So usually all this bheda or duality is there in what we call the vyavhara. This is called vyavhara. Seeing, hearing, etc. is all vyavhara. It stands for all of the vyavhara also. Only two are mentioned here. That's why a question is asked here. Why do you mention only two? So uparakshana, for all the organs of perception. Why two for which implies five? Five organs of perception. Seeing, not hearing, not touching, not tasting, not smelling. So denial of two means denial of five. So why don't you deny one? Why do you deny two? It does not see and say stands for all acts of perception. So Bhashyakara's job it is, these questions are asked. We don't ask by the scholars, some fellows have this habit of probing into everything. Nama Rupa eva antarbhavat. So because Nama and Rupa, Nanyat Pashyati does not see, that denies a Rupa. Nanyat Shrunoti does not hear, that denies a Nama. So here there is a denial of Nama and Rupa, which is what the universe consists of, which has been the whole basis of discussion. Nama Rupayoho eva antarbhavat Vishaya Bhedasya. Therefore, by denying the Grahaka, the perceiver of Nama, namely organ of hearing, and perceiver Rupa, namely organ of seeing, of course, there is intention here of denying all acts of perception. But basically these two are mentioned because usually the world which is described as Nama Rupatmakam Jagat, by denying Darshanam, Shravanam, Nama Rupa also is all denied. Where Nama Rupatmak Jagat is not there, when seeing, hearing is not there, but tasting, touching, smelling is not there, when seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller also is not there. Sounds all vacuum, isn't it? Then, na vijanati also, where one does not know, because that knowing doesn't require, it requires intellect. So therefore the first function of organs of perception is denied, then the function of the intellect is denied. And Bhashyakara says that Vijnanam can take place only when there is Mananam. Atma drashtavya, shrutavya, mantavya, vijignyasitavya. And we discuss this. How in our mind, when we understand, before we understand, the Mananam always goes on. Our mind always looks upon that, evaluates logically, and then understands. Nanyat vijanati, when one does not know, so Mananam also one does not think also. Evam lakshano yahasa bhuma. What a wonderful definition. This is bhuma. So, question is, Kimatra prasiddha anyat darsana bhava bhumni uchyate nanyat pashyati. Because when you see the duality of the seer, seen is always there, so when you say that one does not see, that means that all seeing is denied here. Yatra na anyat pashyati. So, na pashyati, na anyat pashyati. So, the question is, does this statement deny the seeing altogether or seeing of the other? Does it deny the seeing altogether, na pashyati, or na anyat pashyati, or denies the other? Seeing of the other is denied, or seeing is denied altogether? Make the note of difference here. The hearing is denied, or hearing of the other is denied? Thinking is denied, or thinking of other is denied? So, I mean, what's the point? What difference does it make? Kinchata. Suppose, so what difference does it make? He does not see or does not see another. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Anyat darshana deva matram idu uchyate. If this Vakya says that na pashyati, does not see altogether, then it's one thing. But if this Vakya says that does not see the other, so when he does not see at all, then Dvaita samvyavahar, that there is no vyavahara at all involving Dvaita. Therefore, there is a complete negation of Dvaita here, where it said does not see. Well, why did they say anyat na pashyati? Therefore, it looks like anyat, there is a denial of seeing the other, not denial of seeing. So, where you take this nakara? Na pashyati does not see at all, or na anyat pashyati, where does not see the other. You understand the difference? Just think. Where one does not see is one thing, where one does not see the other. So seeing is denied altogether, or the other is denied. What's the difference? He does not see at all, or does not see the other. So what's the difference? Now don't give me those technical answers, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, etc. I mean, this is a simple question. You know answer, Tattvamasi Ham Brahma. That's all answer there, always, of every question. It's a simple question. Now, Anyat Pashyati there, what's the difference? He does not see, or he does not see the other. Is there a difference between these two? So then the question is, if he does not see altogether, then the vyavahara of seeing, which involves the drashta seer, drishya seen, darshanam seeing, karanam all of that is denied if he does not see. If he does not see the other, then seeing of the other is denied. Seeing is not denied altogether. If he doesn't see, then there is no vyavahara at all, no dvaita at all. Does not see the other, then seeing of the other is denied. Seeing altogether is not denied, isn't it? If he does not see the other, then does he see anything else? Is there anything else to see? Right now when I am looking at you, I see you in my act of seeing. If the object of seeing is denied, so that is called bhuma, where one does not see the other. So what's the difference between not seeing at all and not seeing the other? Then it means that he sees himself. He either does not see at all or he does not see the other, meaning that then there is one entity remaining. He sees himself. So maybe Upanishad means to say that is bhuma, where one sees oneself. All right, kinchata. So if that is so, what's the big deal? What are you driving at? Yadi evam ko dosha syat. Suppose this is what is meant, then also, what's it dosha? What does dosha mean? In what way does it affect the Vedantic vision of one without a second? Because second is denied anyway. Anyat na pashyati, there is no anyat, therefore there is no second. One without a second, then one alone is there. And therefore, is it not the same that one does not see at all, or one does not see the other, but one sees oneself, that there is knowledge of the self? Doesn't sound better? There is no knowledge at all, or there is knowledge of oneself. I know this is not very immediate, or people are wondering what are you driving at? That's the question. Suppose it is so, then also what's the problem? Ayam dosha samsara anivritti. Even when I am seeing myself, suppose except for the time being that it is possible that you see yourself, let us say. Because there are some who think that is what it is. Swasamvedyatvam. In Atma, Swasamvedyatvam, meaning that Atma, that's what the Buddha say, Atma knows the self. Because for them Buddhi is Atma. And therefore, Swasamvedyatvam, Atma, Buddhi is Atma, knows itself. So, Here, if there is a denial of seeing the other, that means the seeing of oneself is accepted, and therefore that is called bhuma when you see yourself. But Vedanta says the dosha is that samsara anivritti, the samsara is still not yet eliminated. Why? What is samsara? Kriya karaka phala bhedo is samsara iti. The duality is samsara. Bheda means division is samsara. By duality understand bheda or anyonya bhava, that the exclusion is samsara. Some activity is not samsara. Kriya karaka phala. I am the seer, you are the seen, and there is an act of seeing and the organ of seeing. In that, there is presupposition that I, the seer, is different from you, the seen, and the organ of seeing is that different from all of that. That is presumed, is it not so? I, the seer, is different from you, who is seen. Yes, Swami. So what's the problem? Is there a problem? If the seer is different from the seen, and seen is different from the, is there a problem? What's the problem? That you are not what I am, and I am not what you are. Then only that is called difference, duality, or bheda. Kriya, Bhashya ka Kriya, Karaka, Phala, Bheda. When Kriya is different, Karaka is different, Phala is different, Drashta is different, Dushya, that's called Bheda. So, therefore, in our Vyavhara, we take for granted that I, who am the seer or speaker right now, is different from you who are listeners, and yet the act of speaking is different. And also the words that are spoken are also different. And the organ of speaking also is different. Isn't it? Yes, Swami. So what's the problem? That is the problem. What's the problem? That you are different from me. And I am different from you. That means you have excluded me. Swami, you are different. This is my boundary. Don't, no encroachment. That means I keep others out of this boundary. I keep myself in the boundary. That is Bheda. Bheda means drawing boundaries. The Drashta, I am Drashta. And you are Drashya. So Drashya is different, Drashta is different. So what's the problem? The problem is that in that presumption, there is a sense of duality, division, sense of separateness, sense of isolation, that I am not you, meaning that you exclude me, and my reaction is I exclude you. Think about this. Swami, how can life go on without that? How can life go on if the difference is not there? If you are not different from me and I am not different from you, then how can any kind of interaction or transaction go on? That's called Vyavahara, that is called life, where these transactions take place, and those transactions can take place only when things are different from each other. I mean, I can't talk to myself. I may, but then I may have to go to a doctor. So am I talking to others or am I talking to myself? Suppose this was the experience of my dream. Suppose. But that's how I dream. I dream also I'm giving classes or talks and lectures, and because sometimes they don't invite you and they have nothing to do. So I imagine. Sometimes there is nobody to talk to. Then I imagine that an audience is sitting in front of me and I am talking to them. Some vicarious satisfaction I can take. Then also the smiling faces are in front of me and I am talking. But then, if suppose this was dream, then all the dream objects, where did they come from? When I went to sleep, Before the dream of sleeping, how many were there? I alone was there. When I wake up, how many people wake up? I wake up. In between, how did 100 people, where did they come from? No, Swami, you woke up from the dream and we are still waiting. When will Swami come back to dream? Meaning, I wake up and you keep awake? No. Otherwise, lots of people are waiting in so many places. Every day I dream. And I give lectures in different places, so people are waiting. Some people are in Rishikesh, some are in Ahmedabad, some are here, Baroda. All waiting, when will Swami come back? No. You wake up along with me, is it not so? So where did the whole dream world come from? Before creation of dream, who was I was there. After this cessation, I am there. So in between, who do you think are there? I am there. Except that I also manifested all this. Is it not so? Because in dream, there is no, I have not sent any invitation, I have not built any house, nothing, it is just there. Meaning I alone project everything. I alone appear as dream. Do I not? So then in dream, when I am talking to you, who am I talking to? In dream, when I am talking to you, who am I talking to? To myself, isn't it? So it is possible that you can talk to yourself without duality. So it is not necessary that when talking, hearing, etc. takes place, there has to be duality, meaning that there is no necessity that for the vyavahara of seeing, hearing, talking to take place, the duality, division has to be there. In dream also vyavahara is there. Is there a division or not? There is a perceived division. There is a projected division. There is as though division. As though means what? Which is not really there, which is thought to be there. Meaning that for vyavahara, a real division not necessary. A perceived division is also enough for the vyavahara to take place. Is it not so? Somebody called, one Swami in fact, we called that Swami, so right now I am laughing at myself. So what that Swami, you see that Swami, what he used to do, he is looking at the mirror now. He would make all kinds of faces. Literally. That's what, because it's necessary to have laughing whole, sometime, because otherwise the day is so dull sometimes. So then fine, take out some time for laughing. That's where, in Gujarat there are laughing clubs. So we all assemble a laughing club. And I start laughing, for no reason. Laughing is very contagious. Other fellow starts laughing. Soon enough, everybody is laughing. Why? I don't know. Because he laughs. Why? He laughs. Similarly, you stand before yourself and do something and laugh. So it doesn't require a reason, doesn't require someone else for the vyavahara to take place. You can be doing it to yourself. So that right now also vyavahara is taking place in what we call the waking state. Is it possible that this vyavahara also is taking place without a real duality? That's possible, because in dream this happens, isn't it? In dream also is as vivid as it is right now. In dream, in fact, I do not know that these people are all me, they are all different from me, and I very seriously I talk. In dream also, because they are very seriously listening. So this kartru, kriya, karana, karaka, this vyavahara does not necessarily require the bheda or division to be real. It can be a projected division. So therefore, This hearing is taking place on your part, talking is taking place on my part, etc. This vyavahara is taking place. It is taken for granted that the speaker is different from the hearer. The hearer is different from the speaker. Hearing is different, speaking is different, this is different. All are different. Now, is that a presumption or is it a reality? I know the answer. At least, to be right is a presumption, then whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but then that seems to be the suggested answer anyway. So, this is what this wants to teach. Yatra nanyat pashyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati. Yatra means where. In which state of transcendence one transcends the duality of the seer, seeing. Let's go yatra. And so this knowledge comes by meditation when you transcend everything. True. Or transcend what? You are transcendent. You are already transcendent, suppose. As I said, if I think that you are different and I am different, then I have to transcend the duality, isn't it? But I see that you are no different from me, then transcendence already exists. What is this transcendence or transcendent? You see what I am saying? The question of transcending duality comes when duality is real. Just because act of seeing is there does not mean there is duality. Just because act of talking is there does not mean that the talker is different from the listener. Because that kind of vyavahara can take place without the duality of the speaker and hearer. Is it not so as in dream? But that is dream, Swami. Who says this is not dream? But dream is a projection of mind. So Vivekachudamani says, close your mind. There is no world. In deep sleep, open your mind, wake up, there is world. So the Anvaya Vyatirika. When the mind is not there, there is no world. When the mind is there, there is world. Therefore, world is what? Projection of mind. Vedantins can show this. It is not simply reasoning to convince somebody. It is a matter of seeing this fact. That's all this passage here. Yatra, where? Now how do we, what is where? Yatra is what case, Seventh case. What is seventh case for? It is Adhikarana Saptami. So yatra, in which Adhikaranam? Adhikaranam means location. Yatra, in which locative case in English they call it. Saptami, Adhikarana Saptami, locative case. Means at which location is involved. In which location there is no hearing, seeing thing. What is the location? At what time? At what place? In what state? You can say. In what state? That is sleep also, by the way, or something similar. We have no problem, we have no objection to this thing. Yes. But the point, the Vedanta talks about knowledge of what is. Not knowledge of what will happen in a given situation. That you require some situation to be created for knowledge to take place. Meaning that when I transcend everything, when I state of transcendence, then there is non-duality. And there is duality when I don't transcend as it is right now. Then I must always remain in that state in order to be non-dual. And I come down to duality. You see, I am not in any way trying to suggest that That is something, ordinary that one can. But the point is, you're welcome to do what you want to do. But understand, if what is because yatra means in that state, that yatra also creates the confusion. So, pashyati, na pashyati is one thing, we discussed that. Na anyat pashyati, now yatra. Yatra means where? In which location? Location can mean time, at what time? Location can place, at what place? Or it can be a state, in what state? State of mind, I guess. So by using the word yatra, which is a locative case, is there a location meant here that in that location called time, or that location called a place, or that location called the state of mind, where one does not see the other, one does hear the other, one does not know the other. Then, when that state is not there, like now, then what you see is other, what you hear is other. That means that when that state is not there, the other is real. Seer, seen, seeing, all this, that duality is real, and therefore you do transcend that duality. Is it not so? If yatra means in some other location, which can be some other state of meditation or some other state, that means that when that state is not there as now, then this is duality. So therefore you must eliminate the duality in order for you to see or experience non-duality. Isn't it? Our Swami used to make fun. He's waiting at the ocean shore. He wants to see water. But there are waves. So he's waiting for the waves to subside so he can see water. He's waiting at the ocean shore. He has come here to have darshanam of water. But he finds all waves. And so he waits. What is he waiting for the waves to subside when he can see water? Isn't it so? Should you not have to wait? Should not the waves subside for you to see water? No? Then what should you do? The state in which now he does not see the waves and he sees water. But are you seeing anything other than water? No, I'm looking at waves, Swamiji. Now, is that a reality or is that your conclusion? That you are looking at waves, is it a reality or your notion that this is a wave different from water? They're all waves, names and forms. Yatra, nanyat pashyati, where then there is, this is a description of non-duality. Where one sees the non-duality. This is a duality. Waves, waves of names and forms. Yatra, the adhikaranam, the substratum, the adhishtanam, upon which all of this is superimposed. So when all the superimpositions are eliminated, then you have the vision of the adhishtanam, substratum. You study this Bhashya properly when you get a time. Bhashyakara's yatra, which is seventh case, which is a locative case, is not meant to indicate a location. This is brilliant. You can see the real Bhashyakara. He is out and out. I can't say he is Vedanta, but then what Bhashyakara says becomes very clear here in this discussion. Yatra is not meant to indicate an adhikaranam because we use the usually expressions are there that this is adhyaropa, Brahman is adhishtanam on which this world is superimposed. Yatra adhisthane, that adhishthanam, that substratum upon which now there is no duality. Because this is all superimposed, adhyaropa is there, therefore adhyaropa should be eliminated in order to see the adhishthanam. But no, yatra is not meant an adhikaranam also. It is not a time, not a place, not a condition which is what is required for understanding what non-duality is. Yatra anyat pashyati, where I do not see the other. Right now I see the other, therefore where I do not see the other, so I must stop seeing, then only I will come to a point where I do not see the other. Is it not so? I am seeing the other, so where one does not see the other, means I should stop seeing, then only I come to a state where I do not see the other. But are you seeing the other even now? Having taken for granted that what I see is other, and I, the seer, is other, then the question of transcending the duality comes. Is it not so? Who says you are other than me? Oh, I am Swamiji. You are other than me. I am seeing you. I am the seer and you are the seen. Which you? I am the seer. What's the description of seer? Where does the seer stop and where does the seen begin? Where does the drashta? What is the boundary? Swami, this is the drashta. Outside is drishya, but that outside also is seen by me. So what is called boundary also becomes drishya, and so the boundaries also get included in me ultimately. And what is the limit of drashta? When I take for granted that I am drashta, confined to this boundary of this body-mind, then of course what is outside that is different. But that is my assumption, or is it a reality about me? That I am confined to this body, mind, etc., and therefore I am drashta, and you are outside that boundary, therefore you are drishya, therefore you are different, I am different. No, this is what our assumption is. All that assumption is based on the assumption about myself, is it not so? That I am only this much, and I am so and so. Who is that I? If you examine that, I am a conscious being. That much we have to say, isn't it? I am a conscious being. That much at least we have to say. I am not inert, I am not jada, I am not unconscious. I am a conscious being. What is the nature of the conscious being? What is the nature of the conscious being? Sugar is sweet. What is the nature of sugar? Sweetness is the nature of sugar, isn't it? That way, what is the nature of the sweet entity? Sweetness. What is the nature of a hot entity? Hotness. What is the nature of conscious entity? Consciousness. Is it not so? So what is the I who is conscious entity? Who am I? Consciousness. Is it not so? Is there something outside the boundary of consciousness? The moment you say outside, that also becomes object of consciousness. This also gets included in consciousness. Is it not so? There is nothing outside the boundary of consciousness. There is nothing outside the boundary of I. There is nothing that divides I from something else. So there is no drashta in reality who is different from drishya. So drashta, drishya, all the vyavahara is presupposing, taking for granted that the drashta is confined to a certain boundary and drishya is outside that boundary. But when I probe into that, so avichara, vashyakaras, avichara siddha samsara. The samsara which is bheda drishti, the bheda, the mutual exclusion, that's called samsara. Understand, vyavahara is nothing is samsara. What is samsara? Bheda dushtihi. What is Veda? Mutual exclusion. What is meant by you are different from me, that means that you exclude me. I am different from you means I exclude you. No, this is the main problem for this stupid human being, being excluded. I'm excluded, they don't talk to me. And this, I don't say it is not so, it's so. Which I is excluded? The I confined to this body, mind, sense complex, an imaginary I is excluded. I as I am is not available for exclusion. I am all inclusive. I include everything. So even when this so-called vyavahara of the drashta, drushya, darshan is going on, which is what we call the waking state, the state of ignorance, is it really the drashta is bound to a boundary and that drushya is excluded or drushya excludes drashta? Is there real exclusion there? Exclusion is there when there are boundaries, but is there a boundary to the conscious being who is consciousness? There's no boundary. Everything is included. And therefore, the drashta, drushya, darshana, vyavahara takes place without any division being there. We take for granted that division has to be there. Without division also vyavahara can take place. You can talk to yourself. You can look at the mirror. How are you doing? Wait, nobody has to talk to. Well, you can do this. How are you this morning? How are you today? How was your day? Those can ask fellow who is seen in the mirror. Meaning that is possible. You may think it's crazy, but that's possible that I may be in fact talking to myself. So who says that is not the case right now? If I presuppose that you are the one being talked to and I am the talker and then that they are different, that duality is presupposed. I can't prove it. Nobody can prove that. See, Vijnanam, knowledge takes place when there is mananam. No mananam involved here, no logical, thinking involved here at all. In my conclusion, I have concluded, I think I know so many things without mananam. Without a logical reasoning, is it not so? This could very well be there as it is in a dream, and therefore, just because something is outside this body doesn't mean it's outside of I. So yatra is not a state, it's not a time, not a place. It's to deny even the adhisthanattvam, that even adhisthana, adhyaropa, adhyasa is also a prakriya only. Meaning that bhuma is not really adhishthanam also. The idea of any kind of thing is not there in bhuma, that adhishthanam. Then there is adhyaropa, then again some differences are there. That's what Bhashyakara here discusses. A technical and a beautiful discussion when you get time. And तत्त्वमसि एकत्वोपदेशात् अधिकरण अधिकर्तव्य भेद अनुपत्तेः तत्त्वमसि, that thou art. So adhikarana, adhikartavya, adhikarana, the location, adhikartavya, the located. Even the duality of location, located also cannot be there because it's tattvamasi. That thou art means that all the duality is shown to be false, is denied. Therefore, the duality of location, located there also cannot be there. Tatha sat ekameva advityam satyamiti shashte nirdharitatvat. Therefore, what is sat? Tat Satyam, Sa Atma, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. But then why do you use the word yatra? If you do not mean adhikaranam, why do you use the word yatra? Yatra iti vishay anathakam praptam iti chet yatra nanyat pashyati. Why should it nanyat pashyati? Why yatra? If yatra does not mean adhikaranam, because adhikaranam presupposes different adhikarana, adhikartavya, so yatra also cannot be in a primary sense that avidya to the bheda pekshvatva, because right now I think there is adhisthana madhyarupa adhikaram. Therefore, this is called anuvada. Meaning that reiterating what I think right now, it is denied. There is no yatra also, there is no adhikaranam also, no adhikartavya also. Just as they say, ekameva dvitiyam, one without a second. There is no second, where to say without a second? But we think there is a second, therefore, anuvada, just reiterating what we know, and then they are telling us what we should know. Evam bhumni ekasmin eva yatra iti visheshanam. Thus, in bhuma, with only one yatra visheshanam is there, it does not imply that bhuma is an adhikaranam. Because we go to the teacher with the idea of adhikaranam, therefore the word yatra is used to help us understand that there is no yatra. Avidya dasha, avidya vadavasthaya, anya darshan anuvadena. Because this person is coming to the teacher who comes from giving reality to all the duality. Therefore, how to make him see that what you know? See, the thing is, the way to say is not that this is a rope. You know, in a rope snake example, the appropriate way of saying what you think is snake is rope. Not the snake is rope, but what you think is snake is rope. So what you think is anuvada. Otherwise, every snake is rope or what? I mean, that's a general statement. It's not snake, it is rope. What you think is snake is rope. What you think is called anuvada. So it places you where I am, and I think is what I think snake is rope. So what you think is anyat is not there. What you think is yatra is not there. So these words are all used addressing a person who already comes with certain conclusions and notions. Because simply saying that this is non-dual, that you are Brahman will not work. You who take yourself to be Jiva Atma, so and so is Brahman. You who think that there is location located, that is not there. You who think there is anyat, etc., that is not there. So this sentence is meant to help us, understand that these are all notions that we are entertaining right now, that I am a drashta, you are drushya, that there is darshanam. I have taken, so this is taken for granted. So from that standpoint, I say that there is no drashta, no drushya, no darshanam. Well, I think there is drashta, drushya, darshanam. So reason why this is stated in this manner is to help me. It's not a general statement, not for public, etc. It is for me. The teacher is addressing the student. And where the student is, what the student thinks, what ignorance is the form of these conclusions. Therefore, reiterating those conclusions, teacher saying is, no, this is not so. Hey, you see the fact that drashta, drushya, darshan is not there even now. Not yatra, in some place. Even now also, there is no bheda of drashta, drushya, darshan. And so it's not a state that now you go someplace, you become something, you go to some state of mind or something. That is when bhuma is. Then bhuma becomes limited. What is bhuma. What is non-dual, regardless of time, place, condition, state. So that is called knowledge, seeing what is. Not that I see something in some state, etc., then that would be knowledge confined to a given state. Knowledge is of what is. It's not that now it is duality and then at some point something else happens and it becomes all non-dual. What is non-dual? See it now. How can I see Swami? I see you, you are separate from me. When me is already only, I have taken, me is confined to this body, then you is separate. Recognize there is transformation in the conclusion about me. This all went on, it's just, so all nama rupa, all of that described as an atma, as upadhi, an atma, the atmana viveka, the whole purpose of all that series was to deny that as upadhi. Recognize upadhi is upadhi, then I recognize I as what I am. So that's the Vedantic prakriya of communicating. You can see how profound this simple looking statement is. It requires a bhashyakara to help us understand what is meant here by the statement. So he does the mananam, shravanam, he unfolds the statement. And where necessary, there are questions, answers to help us. Oh yeah, that seems right. No, this is not. So when the question is asked, looks like it is, that's right, then answer is given. Another question is asked, so then answer creates another question. Yeah, that is right, answer is given. It creates yet another question. And that's how slowly and slowly our conclusions, doubts, they are all resolved. यथा स्वप्न दृश्यम वस्तु प्राक प्रबोधात तत्कालीनमयि तत्काल भावेति तद्वत्. All this duality is like in the dream, that all this duality was there, but then, even then also it was not real. So this is the Upadesha of Bhuman, which is one without a second, non-dual, the very self. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.